What an amazing high school experience at Wilson.
Oh yeah, it was a run. It was big time. The best part about it was we all grew up together, and every other school, their kids grew up together. The guys that the Kittlebergers were at Franklin,
Yeah.
and Marshall had guys that had grew up in their system,
Yeah.
in that same neighborhood. So we all knew what was coming.
Right.
It was just a matter of us becoming seniors and playing it out and seeing what happened. And I remember playing to one Memorial like it was yesterday. In the championship game starting at 9 o'clock, which was huge for high schoolers, yeah.
Yeah, huge.
It was amazing.
So tell me about what you did after high school. You probably had choices. And
Yeah,
what did you choose to do?
well, actually, after high school, I wasn't all the way, I didn't understand the complete process of Division I in the clearinghouse. So I ended up going to Alfred State Community College, where I made junior college All-American playing football at wide receiver.
Yeah.
And the reason why I chose football is because I realized that I was a lot bigger. And even though I was better in basketball, but my potential and ceiling was higher in football.
Right.
And so I went to Alfred State for 2 years, and then I got a full scholarship to the University of Kansas.
What was that like?
It was a rush.
Yeah.
It was very intense, and I learned a lot about who I was as a man, or who I was, would be in the future. Because a lot of times you never know what you are or who you are until you're really tested. To be a good player on a good team is one thing, but to be a good player on a team full of a bunch of player of the years and from all over the country is another, And so it was just my opportunity to kind of see where I stood as a complete athlete. When I went to Kansas, I played against Adrian Peterson, Phillip Rivers, Mario Williams, like the best of the best.
Right.
And I practiced against some of the best and my teammates as well. And it just gives you an opportunity to raise your level, just like in life. If you surround yourself with strong individuals, people that are dedicated and determined and have goals, watch what happens, But it works the other way too. If you surround yourself with people that aren't motivated, that don't have the same goals, disciplines that you have, then they can slow you down as well. And so again, from Wilson to Alfred to Kansas, I was with a group of guys that all had something to prove. When I got to Kansas, we went 1-11 the year before I got there. The first year, we made a bowl game. So at every place that I went, it was obvious to me what it took, to win.
Did you have any realizations there about where your sports career would take you versus what another career?
At that moment, what I thought for myself was I was playing football, 10 years, and all-pro, tight end, and run from there, But, through injuries and just through, how the ball goes, I wasn't able to see that all the way through. But what I tell kids and people all the time, you have to make friends, you have to make a difference, as you go on in the process. So I was different schools, different universities, different teams, all the while making connections, So though my dream as a player wasn't what I thought it would be, in the sense that I thought I would even still be playing now, potentially.
Right.
What I got from the game was far more than I ever anticipated. And that is friendships, that is people, being able to put their word and say Lyonel's a good man, And that means a lot, your word, your character, how people view you, not in the sense that I care what they say, but that, that people say, that's a great man right there. He has great character, he affects change. He moves the needle positively. And that's what I do, that's why I do what I do, is that I see where I messed up in the past, I learned from it, and I want to bring that forward to help others not make the same mistakes that I made.
Right.
Because mistakes are part of it, but like I tell my son all the time, I just don't want you to make the exact ones I made.
Yeah.
Make your own mistakes, knowing what I did as well,
Right.
so that you can go and flourish.
Because you can't teach if you didn't go through it.
Right, you have to go through it, you have to. And I embrace it because I never look at it as a loss unless you don't learn. See, if something negative happens to you, for example, when I got cut, or if I got hurt, I can pout and sulk, but at the end of the day, that's not going to do anything. Why? What happened? What could I have done? And where do I go from here? Part of that is having a plan, and being mentally tapped into who you are, where you are, and what it's all about. And that's the biggest things that, some of the big things that I try to carry on.
Where did those connections from Kansas take you?
Oh, everywhere. I left Kansas And I was fortunate enough to play a little bit in NFL. I was with the Bengals and I was with the Packers. And I was in a couple mini camps with the Dolphins. And I played Arena 1 in Colorado. And then after that, I went back to school to finish my degree and start my master's in business administration. And then I left there and went to Denver and coached for the Broncos in the weight room. And then I left there and went to Youngstown, Youngstown, Ohio. Then I left there and went to Rice, coached at Rice. And I left Rice and went to Indiana and coached football. Then I left Indiana football and went to Houston and was the director at U of H for football. And I left U of H and I took the director of strength and conditioning for the Indiana Hoosiers basketball team. And that took us all the way to the Big Ten championship and the Sweet 16 and beating #1 Kansas, #1 Carolina, #5 Michigan State. My guys showed up.
And in that Sweet 16 game, huge Rochester connection in that game.
Oh yeah, big connections in the NCAA tournament. We had myself, Thomas Bryant, Jeff Anderson on the court at one time. And honestly, it was amazing. It was one of those things I won't forget. Jeff remembers it, Thomas remembers it, and in the moment we were doing our best to just kind of, keep it business. But at the same time, you're like, man, that's pretty cool. Because I remember when Jeff reffed our games at the Boys and Girls Club on Genesee Street.
Right.
And Thomas grew up at the Boys and Girls Club on Genesee Street.
Right.
So that's full circle.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
So you did that. What are you doing these days?
Now I am a full-time real estate agent. In Houston, I have my own sports division. So I have a ton of Texan clients. They're playing tonight. So before you guys got here, I was talking to some of my guys. I have guys like Titus Howard, their first-round pick. Bradley Roby, their high-price free agent. Those guys, that was an easy synergy for me. As a coach, knowing what they need, what they want, their expectations, the level of discreetness that they need, it was an easy, smooth transition for me. Being a people person and a hard worker, I could catch up as far as what I lacked from experience, because what you can make up for and who you are and just your ability to move the needle is what I make up for it with. And I also train. I still train guys like Thomas. I still train, I train a bunch of the Texans. So I still train professional athletes. I train these guys. And I train, I call them, the average Joes, the day walkers as well.
Yeah.
The lawyers, the brokers, the doctors. I have a lot of nurses that work at Texas Children.
Yeah.
I have an entire movement in Houston. That's why I moved back to Houston.
Okay.
Because in my time there, I had effect change in others' lives to where I had the ability to, when I left Indiana, when Tom Crean was fired, I was able to go there and pick right up and start training people making not only a living, but making change. And so with my real estate company, as well as my training company, it's just been a lot of fun. And working for yourself is the best.
Where did this motivation come from? Obviously, it started before high school.
Oh, no doubt. It started with my parents. My mom is a big motivator. She would always tell me things like, they have theirs, you're trying to get yours, and she would always keep me humble, I would go out and she would say, hey, don't forget to dance with everyone, don't exclude anyone, and so, and then she would always say things like, you never know who's watching, so always make sure you hold yourself like you want to be seen. And then she would always say things like, talk to everyone. So I just prided myself on speaking to any and everyone. And then I realized that brought energy to people's lives. Right. That most people every day, when they get hit with adversity, it's not their fault necessarily. They don't know how to deal with it.
Right.
And I realized that I had been through enough that I was good at getting through it. And so I took it as my calling to spread it out. And give it to anyone that wanted it, and so I'm honestly motivated from the people that I help motivate, because I'm living my dream. I'm selling homes. I have my own company too, and I have my health and my family. So I can't complain, So for me, it's easy, to be honest.
But you make time to come back and talk to the kids who are playing on the same streets that you play.
Oh, yes, you have to. It's important because they need to see that they can make it out of the mud. They can make it out of it, when it's blurry, when it's foggy, when it's muddy. Because anyone can lead when it's 70 and sunny, You know, but most people can't lead when it's dark and it's rainy outside, and that's where I want to show them how to do it. You know, that's how you set yourself apart. Everyone wants to be a pro. The first part about being a pro is being a pro, being accountable, waking up on time, eating the right things, you know, being respectful, knowing how to communicate, the attention to detail. That's what being a pro is. So as a pro, my job is to show these people how to be pros, and that's in every walk. That's in your nutrition, that's in real estate, that's in how you communicate with others, you know, how you show love, and how you accept somebody that has different views than you. Because I talk to so many people every day, everyone has different views than I do.
Right.
But I accept them all because they're all fair. You know, that's their experiences, and it's up to you to deal with them how you want to, you know? And so I just try to pass it along to them, you know, because it's important. Because you know, a lot of times, and I just speak for Rochester, there's enough bad going on that I can have 100 great days, right? If I have one bad day, sometimes that gets overwhelmed, like, and blown out of proportion. So I just want to be the guy that just always, whatever you have going on, you can count on me having your back. And a lot of times, that's me being selfish, because I can be sad too. Or I can be upset too, or disappointed too. But when I see you, I get energy from you. Just like I want you, when you see me, you get energy from me. And that's what I want these guys to do. I want all 30, 40 of these kids, when they leave this building, their energy to the city, their energy to their family that may be going through things, that maybe not have what they thought they should have, that maybe are a little less well off than what they want to be. I remember being a beacon in my house, and everybody smiled, even though we lived in an apartment, you know, over a corner store and things like that. It didn't matter. You know, we had each other, we had the neighborhood, and that's what it's about. So I just want to bring that to them. Hey guys, I played right here. I lived right here on Brooks Avenue on Chandler Street. You know what I mean? I grew up right here in the 19th Ward. You know what I'm saying? And I wasn't perfect. And I tell them all the things that I did wrong. I tell them, you know, and I try to let them know, live through me vicariously. You know?
And the foundation of being a pro that you're talking about, they can take to different aspects
of life,
different industries, just like you have.
Right, and that's what I tell them. You know, I said, because I've seen so many players go and burn those bridges. You know, why? You know, the universities are going to get what they want out of you, meaning you're going to play the game, you're going to do your thing. I tell the athletes all the time, why don't you get something out of them too, which is your degree and the connections. A lot of times the connections and the character take you even further than the degree itself. You know, but having that and then having the other two is the whole picture. And that's what I want us to be. I want us to be the whole picture. I want each one of these individuals, myself included, to have the entire picture. You know what I mean?
Anything else you want to add that I might have missed?
Yes. It's important for us to give back. You know, like, and it's important for you to strain yourself to get back. Giving back isn't just one time. You know, giving back is, it can be opening the door. Giving back can just be putting your hand on someone saying you got their back. You have to give back. You have to get out of your own face, your own feelings, stop worrying about you, and think about someone else. Because the biggest thing I've learned as I got older, when I was the most stressed out, when I was the most tired, or when I was in the most pain, if I thought about you, I didn't feel that pain. I didn't feel that stress. I didn't feel being sad if I thought about you. And I think that's what we could do as a people, is just, you know, I mean, because everybody, whether you're rich or poor, everyone has issues. Let's just be there for one another, you know, and understand that today is your day. Like, if I get a flat tire leaving here today is just my day. I'm not going to let that bad moment ruin my day. And that's what I'm trying to teach them. Don't let a bad situation or spill over into the rest of your day. No one or no one thing can ever make me have a bad day. I can only have a bad situation that I can make good if I just take a moment and learn from it. And that would be the biggest thing that I would say, is, you know, is you control how you react. Choice. Life is about the choice, right? Embrace that. You know, but research the power of the choice. Because if you make the wrong choice, it can slow your progress. Don't have to destroy you, but it can slow your process.